Welcome to We Make Children's Books, a podcast that takes us through the imaginative minds of children's book authors and artists. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're honored to have with us the internationally celebrated and award-winning children's book author, Kathleen Conway.
Hey. Yes, sir. It's going. It's going.
Yeah, see? But look at this. So you came out your book. It's a five-star rating book. The Adventures of Dori, a Rescue Pup. And this is also an award-winning book, too.
Yes, sir. Actually has two awards. It's the Literary Titan Award, and then a couple weeks ago, we got notified that we are the silver medal winner for Reader's Favorite International in the Children's Adventure category. So, yeah.
Okay. So, because what inspired you, you and Juanita Ellis, your co-author, what inspired you to write Adventures of Dori, and how did Dori's story become the kind of like the heart of the book?
So, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, we were shopping for a friend of ours had some children. We were just thinking, what would be a great gift? How about a children's book? So we were looking at these books and we thought, look at these books. This is something that we could do. So we kind of added it to the bucket list. And then in 2021, Dori had passed away. We had Dori in 2013. I guess let me reverse the story. We adopted Dori when she was 7 years old from Southern Comfort Maltese Rescue. And that was in 2013. And she was a rescue dog. She was 7 when we adopted her. And she just kind of came the focal point of our life. She was just, her personality was just crazy, like amazing crazy. But anyway, she had passed away in 2021, and we wanted to have her legacy live on. So it's like we pulled that, us being an author, doing a children's book, we kind of plucked that off the list and we just put it in motion.
Okay.
So
how did the collaboration between you two come about, and what was it like working together as a co-authors of this project?
It was awesome. The thing is, the whole storyline and stuff like that, the two characters in there, Jillian and Benito, those are actual friends of ours. They're dogs. Benito is from New Jersey, and Jillian is from Georgia. And every year, you're going to think this is crazy, but every year we all get together with our dogs and we go to the North Carolina Outer Banks. Okay. And we meet up usually in May, and we all vacation together. So the thing is, that's where the whole beach theme came from. That's how, the characters of Jillian and Benito were in there. That's just how the whole beach thing happened. I mean, it was just, the words just started flowing and it got written, and it was like, it was amazing.
Okay. And so as authors, did you focus on certain aspects of the story and Juanita handled other elements of the story, or how did that work?
Honestly, we just kind of collaborated together. We just kind of took the whole beach theme, you know what I mean, and just kind of put it into motion, almost like as if it was like an actual story. Do you know what I mean? The characters were real. It was just kind of us that were kind of fostering that story. So yeah.
And so how did you find the illustrator for this? Because that's one question that people want to write a book is like, where do I find an illustrator?
Sure. So it's about doing your own due diligence and looking people up online, getting other people's comments of working with other people and stuff like that, looking at their ratings and stuff like that. So it was like Googling. We read a couple books online, how to write a children's book. We read some books and stuff like that where they made some recommendations of people as well. So we kind of incorporated that as well as Googling stuff and getting other people's input.
Right.
But it's about doing your own due diligence, you know what I mean? And looking at a good illustrator, an editor, and then a spell checker.
So how different is the final product compared to, let's say, like the first draft that you two put together?
I wouldn't say that it's drastically different, but we did have to tweak some things. Maybe we're a little long-winded on some things, but um, I don't think that there was a huge difference. Probably the biggest thing that we really truly wanted to focus on was what the dogs look like. I know it sounds crazy, but we were very picky on how Dory looked, and then how Jillian and Benito looked as well. But we just really wanted to focus on how they looked. Exactly, yeah. I mean, down to the color, down to the bandanas. I mean, if you Dory has a huge following on Facebook as well because we have a Facebook page for the dogs. It's Conway Canine Crew, and there was a huge following, and everybody loved Dory. And we have over 5,000 followers from over in Europe to the United States. But everybody loved Dory. So she just had to be perfect center on that page and just look perfect. So, but anyways, yeah,
So,
she's just one of those dogs that just, you know what I mean? There's one dog that you have that is just so amazing and just so cool. And Dory was it.
right. And so, I mean, as a children's book, you kind of have to have
Mhm.
a some sort of like lesson or something,
Sure,
or message
sure,
for children. What would you say that Dory's message is for children?
sure. Obviously, the book wasn't just all fun and games for us, but Dory's message was about teamwork. It was about helping others. It was about friendship. And then also, we kind of threw the component in there about caring for our beach, the littering and stuff like that, the stuff that's found on the beach and in the water that affects all the sea life and stuff like that. So, those were the messages that we wanted to put out there with the book. So,
Okay. Was there anything in the book that, like, you and Juanita like really wanted to keep in there, but you're like, it just doesn't fit, it doesn't flow, and you're like, well, no, that's kind of like Dory's personality. Like, was there specific Dory-esque thing that you wanted to keep in that just didn't fit within the framework of the story?
Um, Probably the only thing that I would probably say is that the last 3 years of Dory's life, Dory was kind of in and out of the hospital. She actually was at NC State Veterinary Hospital. She was a frequent visitor there, and everybody loved her. But um, she got a nickname. The doctors called her Benjamin Buttons because as she continued to get sicker, her personality just grew and grew and grew, and they named her Benjamin Buttons there. But there's a part of me that wanted to incorporate a little bit of her triumph through her illness and stuff like that, her heart condition. But just with being a children's book, it just really wasn't. I didn't. We wanted to, but we didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
We wanted the book to be uplifting. We wanted it to be motivational for kids, and maybe that'll just be another book down the line.
With that perspective, is there like
Mhm.
other stories that you want to tell about Dory?
Other stories about Dory. Um, Dory with Halloween coming up, I tell you what, we love to put Dory. I don't know if Dory loved it, but we love to put Dory in costumes. And the pictures that are on the Facebook page, if you scroll back, obviously back to 2013 through 2021, if you scroll back through those pages, Dory dressed the Halloween part to a T. Um, but she was always up for an adventure. We used to take her on vacations with us all the time. Obviously, when we went to the beach, but also going to the mountains and stuff like that. She was just a true uh, free spirit, just an adventurer. She loved to ride. So yeah.
um, is there other children's books in mind that you're going to be doing for that will star Dory?
Yeah, actually, we do have one that's in the works. Let's just say it's going to be a book that has a little bit. a little bit more elevation to it than the beach, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna take a guess, and maybe it has something to do with with mountains. Maybe I don't
Could be, could be.
know. Well, because I mean, the thing is like you've already set it up to be
Yeah,
like a series because you use the Adventures of Dori, a
exactly.
Rescue Pup.
Yes,
See,
sir. And
yeah,
there will be some different characters in it as well. So
right,
I'm not saying that we won't go back to Jillian Benito, but there will
right.
be some different characters in it as well because there's a lot more little furry friends that are a part of Conway Canine Crew. So
Well, there you go, and I think it's important to recognize the fact that so Richard Scarry, who's a children's author, wrote about 400 books. Are you and Juanita going to be trying to aim towards to beat Richard Scarry's
wow.
total?
I'm always up for a good challenge, Marty, but I don't think so. I think I'll let that one be.
Oh, so so what have you learned about yourself writing this book?
I tell you what, I didn't realize that I had some creative juices. I didn't realize that I could tell a good story. Um, Honestly, I didn't. So, I mean, that's what I've learned about myself.
Right. And what are some of the things that you're looking at, say, writing a second book? Because we've already established you're going to be
Mhm.
writing another book. So,
Sure. Yes.
what are the things that you've learned writing this one that is kind of pushed you ahead to be able to um, be better at as you evolve as a writer in this and writing more books?
Sure. So, when writing a book, I mean, it's a process. You got to have the editor, you got to have the
Yeah.
illustrators, you got to have all that stuff. And the thing is, you know who the good ones are and you know who the ones that didn't work with you too well. So the thing is, you've already eliminated that, you know who you're going to use going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think that is a good aspect of us going forward with the next book that we know who we're going to use and go to.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. As you wrote this book, how involved were you into like the design and layout of the book?
Oh, huge, huge. We were in constant contact, going back and forth, making revisions, stuff like that. Like I had said before, it was all about Dory and making sure that, the dogs looked the way we wanted to. We had sent pictures of what we wanted them to look like. So that was our main focus, that they looked the way we wanted to, down to the color of, their fur and stuff like that
Hmm.
and their
Um,
sizes because Dory was small. Dory was only about 5 or 6 pounds. So the thing is, we wanted her proportion, to Benito, who was more like 12 pounds, and Jillian, who was more like 10 pounds, that proportion size as well. So we were a little picky about some of the stuff.
right. Now, is this book, would cat people like this children's book?
It is dog and cat approved because there is a cat that's in that book on the beach, I do believe. So yes. But I also do want to point out that we do have the website. The website is adoriproduction.com. And on the website, it has free lesson plans for teachers, and it also has a guide for parents on how to use the book during story time. So we do have that on the website as well.
For our listeners out there, you would go to adoriproduction.com and you have the cutest darn picture of Dory right on oh my goodness. Oh man. And you have, like you say, you get like a really nice video about it, and it talks about and it shows the delightful artwork that's in there. And has a picture of, like, you meet the cast. You got
Yeah,
Benito, you got Jillian, you got Dori on there,
yeah.
and yeah, definitely this is an amazing website that you have here, and it talks about. So talk to us a little bit about the educator section on there. How important was it for you to put in some sort of classroom tools
Mhm.
and with the go with the book?
Sure. The thing is, teachers are always looking for, free lesson plans. I mean, the thing is, we're just looking to make their life easier by pulling those lessons plans off of the website. You know,
Hmm.
Kids these days, they need to work on teamwork, helping others, and the whole idea of friendship. So that's kind of why we put those plans on there so teachers can roll that out.
How long did it take to make the book, and how long did it take uh, uh, to get the book published? Like,
And
how what
get it
give us
to
a
the
time
finish
frame.
line. Obviously, me and Juanita, we do work full time. We have full time jobs. I, so, you know, I would say maybe it was like 4 to 6 months, maybe. It wasn't something that we were spending every single moment on. Um, we would pick up the pen and paper. Yeah, we did it old school. Sorry, I'm an old school gal, but we picked up the pen and paper and, we just kind of worked on the storyline. It wasn't something that we did every day. We did actually a chunk of it when we were at the beach, actually, is when we did a chunk of it writing it, believe it or not. The sound of those waves just made those juices going. So, um, but, you know, it was probably like, a 4 to 6 month process. The most back and forth that happens is when you get to the illustrating part and you're kind of going back and forth because those decisions have to be made quickly.
Take away the presumption that writing a children's book is easy. It's really, really hard because
Mhm.
you have to be succinct in the words you used, and you
Mhm.
have to be very specific in the words you use,
Yes.
because everything you put into that book, from color combination to pictures
Mhm.
to words, is something that you're
Yeah,
looking at. You're getting it from the viewpoint of a 3 to 7 year old, or whatever that
exactly.
room is. How much did you have to re-engage with your brain to write for a 7-year old? How did that work for you?
Right. Just I'm a person that likes to kind of run on with my words. You really have to pull out some of the English words and stuff like that you used to get in school and stuff like that. But honestly, me and Juanita, we were almost like a yin and a yang that we were able to kind of work through a lot of that stuff where we could keep the language simple, keep the storyline flowing. And then also the use of the editor was huge because,
Hmm.
it was back and forth. You have a certain contract with the editor and stuff like that, and you're able to go back and forth a few times. She would make her recommendations, and then you would go back and forth with her. So the editing part was huge. So you didn't use complicated words for a 3 to 7 year old. You know what I mean?
Right.
But me and Juanita were able to bounce things off of each other and to keep things, somewhat simple.
Right.
You don't need to complicate a storyline. And the thing is, you don't want to lead a child down a road. You want them to use their imagination and develop it down the road themselves. You know what I mean?
And so, was there like less uses of, say, like adverbs and adjectives, or like how did that process go?
Honestly, we didn't really focus on more verbs or more adjectives or anything like that. I mean, didn't really focus on that at all.
What advice would you give first time children's book authors?
Live your dream, man. Just do it. I'm seriously. I mean, just do it. You got things on a bucket list for a reason. Take them off the list and do them.
Kathleen, if people want to learn more about Dory and you as an author, where's the best place they could go to?
Um, like I said, there's a lot of pictures of Dory on their Facebook page, Conway Canine Crew. Otherwise, you could go to the website, doryproduction.com. We're updating that frequently. And that's probably the best place to check out Dory. Sure.
Right. What a darn cute picture. I can't think of a better legacy to
Yeah,
give a beloved pet, than running a children's book about them.
yeah,
That's literally probably the best way to
yeah.
create a lasting legacy for a beloved pet. So
Well, I do.
congratulations on that, Kathleen. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I do want to give also a shout out. Dori's Rescue is Southern Comfort Maltese Rescue, which me and Juanita are active volunteers for. Um, so I do want to give them a shout out that, obviously us writing a children's book and having Dory, those two things probably would have happened without them. So I do want to give them a shout out.
Perfect. And we'll put a link. We'll put a link into to their website also on the show notes, though.
Awesome. That would be
Excellent.
great.
Yeah, Kathleen, thank you so much. And listen, you're gonna have to come back on when
Yes,
you
sir.
have the second book coming out. See.
I'll drag Juanita on next time.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen.
All right. Thank you, Barney. I appreciate your time and thanks for having me.